Right, good to go.
Okay. Am I alive?
Yeah.
Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Astottara Shatashi Shimad Abhayacharya Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Astottara Shatashi Shimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol Namo Vishnupadaya Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishna Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Vishesha Shunyava Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 30, entitled Description of Adverse Fruitive Activities. And today's verse is text number 10. Arter apaditer gurvya hingsayetas tatas chatam pushnati yesham poshena sheshabhuk yada swayam. Arter apaditer gurvya hingsayetas tatas chatam pushnati yesham poshena sheshabhuk yada swayam. Arte apaditer gurvya hingsayetas tatas chatam pushnati yesham poshena sheshabhuk yatyada swayam. Artehe by wealth, apadite secured, gurvya great, hingsaya by violence, ita tataha here and there, cha and tan them in brackets family members, pushnati he maintains, yesham of whom, poshena because of the maintenance, shesha remnants, puk eating, yati he goes, um, adaha downwards, swayam himself. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. He secures money by committing violence here and there, and although he employs it in the service of his family, he himself is only a little portion of the food must purchase, and he goes to hell those for whom he earned the money in such an irregular way. Purport. There is a Bengali proverb, the person for whom I've stolen accuses me of being a thief. The family members for whom an attached person acts in so many criminal ways are never satisfied. In illusion, an attached person serves such family members, and by serving them he is destined to enter into a hellish condition of life. For example, a thief steals something to maintain his family, and he is caught and imprisoned. This is the sum and substance of material existence and attachment to material society, friendship, and love. Although an attached family man is always engaged in getting money by hook or by crook for the maintenance of his family, he cannot enjoy more than what he could consume even without such criminal activities. A man who eats 8 ounces of foodstuffs may have to maintain a big family and earn money by any means to support that family, but he himself is not offered more than what he can eat, and sometimes he eats the remnants that are left after his family members are fed. Even by earning money by unfair means, he cannot enjoy life for himself. That is called the covering illusion of Maya. The process of illusory service to society, country, and community is exactly the same everywhere. The same principle is applicable even to big national leaders. A national leader who is very great in serving his country is sometimes killed by his countrymen because of irregular service. In other words, one cannot satisfy his dependents by this illusory service, although one cannot get out of the service because servant is his constitutional position. A living entity is constitutionally part and parcel of the Supreme Being, but he forgets that he has to render service to the Supreme Being and divert his attention to serving others. This is called Maya. By serving others, he falsely thinks that he is master. The head of a family thinks of himself as the master of the family, or the leader of a nation thinks of himself as the master of the nation. whereas actually he is serving, and by serving Maya, he is gradually going to hell. Therefore, a sane man should come to the point of Krishna consciousness and engage in the service of the Supreme Lord, applying his whole life, all of his wealth, his entire intelligence, and his full power of speaking. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who is established in this material world, the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desire trees, and are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, in this verse, in this chapter, Lord Kapila is describing adverse fruitive activities, what the conditioned soul sometimes gets himself into, and which type of situations the conditioned soul sometimes finds himself in. So he is in this instance, he's describing the conditioned soul in a very unfortunate circumstance, where he's being very attached to his family and maintaining his family, his committing violence and supporting his family in that way, not living an honest life. So the question then is, what is actually an honest life? As Srila Prabhupada is explaining in the purport here, the real honest life means when we are serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the reason why that is the real honest life is because that is our actual constitutional position, is that we are eternal servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And having forgotten our original position, we have diverted our attention to trying to serving other things, because we are trying to exploit the resources of this material nature. Everyone is looking for happiness because that is the constitutional nature of the soul. Anandamaya Vyasat, the Vedanta Sutra says, the soul is by nature blissful, but that bliss is meant to come from serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are now looking for that original happiness in an irregular way, by trying to exploit the resources of this material nature. So while going about our sojourn of material existence, where we try to enjoy this matter to find satisfaction, we end up in so many different kinds of situations, and some of them are superficially more favorable than others. Lord Chaitanya describes that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that the living entity is like going on a Ferris wheel. So maybe you've seen at a carnival Ferris wheel. It's like this big wheel. I'm sure many of us know about it, where maybe it's the size of a building or something, and then the people sit on one chair on it, and it goes, the sort of chairs going all around, and as the people go up, they're going up to the top, and then they're coming down again, and then up to the top and down again. And so Lord Chaitanya describes that this is our position in material existence, that we're going up and down, up and down. Sometimes we're in the heavenly planets enjoying a very high standard of living and uh, enjoying just enjoying the results of our uh, uh, pious fruitive activities. And sometimes we're suffering in the hellish planets, suffering the reactions of our adverse fruitive activities. So this is our position. And Lord Chaitanya compared it also to the old system of um, how the king would punish a criminal. So how the king would punish a criminal was he would dunk his head under water, and to the point where the criminal was just about to suffocate or drown, and then he'd pull his head up and he could breathe in the fresh, breathe in air, and then just after a few seconds again he'd plunge him down into the water. And it just, and of course one may say that why is it such a big deal if he knows he's going to come out again? But the way the mind reacts in such a situation, so many things go through the mind. You think maybe they don't know him, but maybe they've done it too long by mistake, or so. It's a very horrible situation to be in when you're under the water. But when he comes out, the criminal, when his head is pulled out of the water and he gets to breathe the fresh air, then he thinks, oh well, this is just amazing. This is bliss. It feels like bliss. So Lord Chaitanya describes that this so-called enjoyment in the heavenly planets, and or in this planet when we experiencing the results of our pious activities, that is not real positive happiness. Just like the criminal, just breathing air is not real happiness, but it feels like happiness compared to what he was experiencing before under the water. So Lord Chaitanya explains that that's actually just a temporary relief from material suffering. So when our material suffering subsides a little bit, meaning we end up in a good situation in the heavenly planets or a good situation on this planet, then we think, oh well, this is amazing, this is wonderful, and we think we mistake that for happiness. But actually, positive happiness is something completely different. Real happiness comes from serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this material world, we're sometimes in this situation described here as this man is doing in this verse, and what's going to come from this, he's already in a hellish condition, having to commit violence to support out of attachment to support his family, and he's going to suffer more as he leaves his body and has to suffer reaction for such heinous activities. So sometimes one is in that situation, and sometimes one is enjoying, but it's all just it's all suffering. It's all actually suffering, because the real suffering is that we've forgotten our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as one gradually progresses in one's Krishna consciousness, one realizes more and more that that is the real uh, happiness, and that the real suffering is to not be in Krishna consciousness. The material situation is actually not that important. The dualities of material existence are not that important. What is important is how Krishna conscious we are, and that is where the real happiness is in being Krishna conscious, serving Krishna, and um, engage, as Prabhupada said, engage in all our whole life, all our wealth, our intelligence, our power of speaking. We engage our senses fully in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is our real life. Okay, so we're going to end a little earlier today, because at 8 o'clock, His Holiness Devamrita Swami will be given the a class live on Zoom, and it's now 8 minutes to 8. And if you want to watch the class, as far as I understand, the link will be posted on the ISKCON Auckland um, uh, WhatsApp group. So we maybe can take a couple of minutes if there are any questions or comments. In the meantime, I'll read the verse once more. He secures money by committing violence here and there, and although he employs it in the service of his family, he himself eats only a little portion of food thus purchased, and he goes to hell for those for whom he earned the money in such a regular way. So there's no comments or questions in there. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.